All right. So we're going ahead and recording. We're going to talk today about organizing your course, specifically using modules and assignment groups. So modules can be really simple. Just throw this stuff up and make it available for students. The issue is that modules needs to be, it's how you actually organize your class, how you're going to teach your class. Assignment groups is how you grade your class. So if you look at your syllabus, you'll see that you probably have it set up. Almost every syllabus is set up the same way, in that you'll have that you've got assignments and discussions and homework and quizzes and exams. Those are assignment groups because that's how you're grading. It might be by points, 1,000 points in the class, and 250 points is the final, and 250 points are all of the midterms, and and you build it all together. It might be weighted, it might be percentages, 25% for this, 25% for that, 30%, etc. We'll get into all of those in a little bit when we get into assignment groups, but those are assignment groups. It's how you're grading your class. But modules is how you're teaching your class. And understand that a module includes everything. It includes assignments, it includes discussions, it includes quizzes, it includes pages and other work that's associated with your class. So a student can go to a module, and in that module, they see everything they need for that time period. So what do I mean by time period? It can be a week. Some people do a weekly module, week 1, 2, 3. Some people do an overall module for a chapter or a particular assignment. So if you're teaching, for instance, writing, maybe your modules are laid out by essay 1, essay 2, essay 3. So it's about how you teach your class, not how you grade your class. So what do I mean by that? I see a lot of times people will put together modules and call it assignments. Well, that means that the students have to go into multiple modules to go ahead and get information. I'd rather instead you have a single module that is everything they need for right now, and then the next module that's everything they need for the next group. So everything they need for week 1, everything they need for week 2, everything they need for week 3, each of separate modules, everything for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, whatever it is that organizes your class. Modules, the term module is simply a grouping. So don't worry about the term. You figure out what makes sense for you in your class. So to create a module, it's not hard at all. Simply go in and you set a module name. Personally, I like to have a course overview module first. And in that, I'll put all of the stuff that I want the students to know for the course. What do I mean? I'll put a copy of the syllabus. I'll put a copy of how to contact me. I'll put a copy of any course discussion that isn't graded. It's just, hey, what questions do you have in the course? If this is an online course that is synchronous, I'll put a link to the Zoom that is going to be for each meeting. I'll put office hour information. This is just course information that's associated with the course. Has nothing, no assignments in it, nothing that actually they have to do, but it's a great place for them to just look real quick when, hey, I've got a question. That should be in the course overview. But this also gives you the ability to create, if a student asks a question, you can then throw the answer in there, because now all the students know to go to this one spot. So a course overview module is a really nice overview, a quick module to create. The next one I'm going to create is a chapter 1 module. And in that module, you can go ahead and place other things. So for instance, I'm going to place a link to a web page, okay? I'll name it. And this could be a specific specific web page or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and publish it. As I do this, I can create other things. So I can create pages, create a new page. Maybe I want one called Chapter 1 Overview. I can create assignments. Discussions. Basically anything I want, I can create in here, and I can actually create it directly in here. I can add it in if it already exists. But more importantly, I can also create these text headers. So I like to organize the module. I want to put things in an order so that it's easier for me and it's easier for the students. So I might create a resources header, assignments header, discussions header. Well, so I've just created all of this stuff. The next part is organizing it. Now you can organize it as you create it. Yesterday afternoon, we went over a tool called Multi-Tool. And in the Multi-Tool, it creates these chapters for you already organized the way you want with all of the content. So that's another way of creating the modules. But here, I'm going to go ahead and click on these 8 dots in front of it, and I'm going to organize this. And so by simply dragging this around just a little bit, now this module looks like I organized it. Looks like I put in everything in the way I wanted it to go in. Now, I'm not worried at this point about what's inside the assignments and discussions, because that's a completely different discussion, a different topic that we will cover eventually. But to create the module, you can actually create all of these different components. I'm going to go ahead and create a Chapter 2 module as well by clicking on Module at the top. But I'm not going to put anything in it yet. But the reason I want to do that is because now I want to show you some of the components that you can use in the module. So modules themselves have some really neat features as well. If you click on the 3 dots, you've got several different things you can do. One, you can duplicate. All right. So if I just duplicate it, now here, this is Chapter 1 copy. So what I could have done in duplicating it, I can now go in and rename these things and maybe make that Chapter 2. So if you have it organized, you could just keep on duplicating that if you want. You can delete the whole module. You sure you want to delete it? Yes. That just wiped out the module. Now, what happens when you delete a module? If you have links in that module, they disappear because they didn't go anywhere. So make sure you get rid of anything, move anything, save anything that you want when you're going to delete a module. I already talked about duplicate. You can send to and copy to. So send to is sending this module information to somebody else. It does not include the assignments, the discussions, and the quizzes and the pages, but it will include the headers, the links, and stuff like that. So you can send it to another instructor, another faculty member. The other part that is nice is the copy to. So let's say you're teaching 3 classes all Japanese 1, for instance, or Chinese 1, or writing 1, or whatever it is. If you're teaching 3 of the same thing, you can create this module in one of them and then copy it to the other classes. So that becomes a really nice feature for you. You don't have to recreate it over and over again. There is the share to commons and commons favorites. I don't get into that a whole lot, but there are, in the old version that we had of Canvas, we've got commons. We don't really have it in the new one for various reasons. But the one thing I really want to go into right now is edit. So when I was teaching using Canvas, I actually created all of my modules at the very beginning. Didn't create all of the content in the modules, but I created all of the modules. And then I locked them until the date I wanted them. So here you can do a lock until and unlock at a particular date and time. Okay, maybe it's the first day of class. Done. So what happens is this will automatically unlock at that time. That means that every morning that I was teaching class, at midnight that morning, that module would open up for that day's class, because I wanted students to have it available, but I didn't want them to get into it until really after class, but I unlocked it that morning. So you can lock your modules until a particular date and time if you want. This is really useful, especially in an asynchronous class, to help the students not go way too far. And you've got some students working on what should be week 10 and other students are working on week 2. It helps them work steadily through your class in an organized manner. You do not have to use lock until. It's just a neat feature to know about. The other part you have is prerequisites and requirements. So we'll deal with prerequisites in a minute when I look at chapter 2, but let's take a look at requirements. So requirements says students must complete either all of these requirements or must complete one of the requirements. Down below that gives a list of the things that are in your module already. So you notice I've got a chapter 1 overview. I've got an external URL. I've got discussions and an assignment. So I might say I want them to complete all of these requirements. I want them to view the overview. Then I want them to contribute to the page that's the discussion. And then I want in the assignment, I want them to submit the assignment. Now, you have it be a grade. So notice it said under here, score at least. So if you have a quiz, you can have it automatically release if they get a 90% on the quiz or something like that. So what this does is it doesn't allow the student to progress to the next step in your course until they have done the things that they are supposed to have done in the previous steps. Now, in this case, I'm asking them to complete all of the requirements. I can then say they must move through the requirements in a sequential order or not. And I can say only one of these. I want them to do one of these things. And once I'm done, that means that they have completed this module. They have completed chapter 1. So I'm going to say that they must complete all of the requirements and update the module. At the top, notice it says complete all items now. Now, it doesn't say what those items are that have to be completed unless I move my mouse over it or click on to edit it and I can see that. But it makes the student actually go through those things in the module. So when you have students who are ignoring, for instance, the content that you're trying to teach them, and all they're doing is the assignments and quizzes, They're not doing the other work. This is a great way to push them and make them do the other things because they can't move on to the next step until they've read through the overview or they've at least watched a video or something like that. So it's the requirements part. Then I'm going to go down and I'm going to look at chapter 2. So now that I've done requirements for chapter 1, I don't necessarily even need to lock it at all, but I can add requirements in chapter 1. Items in the module. So I can't create the requirements for this module yet, since I haven't created anything in it. But here, prerequisite of chapter 1. What does that mean? That means that if I have something in chapter 2, doesn't matter what it is, so I create a chapter 2 overview, for instance, they will not be able to see it even until they have completed chapter 1. So I'm going to go ahead and publish chapter 1 here, the module. When I did that, notice all of the things that were in that module automatically were published. So if you have something that you don't want to be published yet for the students, now you got to go back in really quick and unpublish it. Really quick, meaning before the students actually see it. And I've got chapter 2 there. So if I click into student view to see what this is about, how does this really look for the student? Notice I have chapter 1 and it says complete all items. Well, chapter 1 overview. It's still locked, so I can't get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the student view because I'm going to unlock that. Understand that student view assumes that the course is published, but everything else is exactly the way it will look like for a student. So I'm going to unlock this now. Go back to student view. And notice chapter 1 does not have the lock on it, but chapter 2 does. And it's locked until chapter 1 is completed. So chapter 1, notice here I've got little circles next to what needs to be completed. And it says not yet completed. It's a little hard to see on your screen, but they are there. That's why I moved my mouse over it. So here, chapter 1 overview, I said that they needed to view it. I click on it. It's a page. I can click next. That takes me to the Wall Street Journal. I can open that. I'm going to go ahead and go back to modules. And you see that that's now checked off, that I've completed the chapter 1 overview. Discussion. I haven't done anything with the discussion yet. So here, I'm going to go ahead and reply. Post reply. All right. And then if I go back to modules, you'll see that discussions now has a check mark. So I've completed those 2. But notice it says here that I've started, but I have not completed chapter 1. Chapter 2 here still is locked. So this demonstrates how a student can go through your class. You can push them through it in a particular order. You can help them get that content that you're looking for. And this is all built into modules. This is why we use modules. So notice I didn't create an assignments module and put all the assignments in that. I didn't create a discussions module and put all of the discussions in there. The reason I didn't want to do that is because I want to give this to them. I want to teach the class in a specific order. And so this is what is going on there. And this is how it comes up. Notice also on the left, I have home, grades, people, syllabus, and modules. That's it. I don't give them assignments on the left. I don't give them discussions. I don't give them pages or files. anything like that. Why not? Because I want to give it to them all in the module when I want them to have it. You don't have to publish the module. You can publish the module. Notice here, the first module here that I had was the course overview module. That's not even showing up in here because I never published it. Students don't know that exists yet. So as you're working in your class, understand that organizing your class with modules is how you're going to teach it. And I've yet to come across somebody who gives the students all of their discussions. Once they're done with the discussions, then all of their assignments. Once they're done with their assignments, all of their quizzes, and then their midterms, and then their final at the end. No, it's always mixed up. That's the purpose of teaching, is to get them to learn the different parts. And so that's where modules comes in. So as I leave student view here, here is what the modules looks like at the moment and what's now available in that student view. So this gives a quick idea of what modules and organizing your class using modules would look like. Do you have any questions at this point? Does this make sense? All right, excellent. So the next thing we're going to do is go into assignments. And in assignments, we have the ability of adding assignment groups. So this is where it's really nice to break it down. And this is one of the most useful things for faculty, I think, is to be able to break this down. And even if you don't weight the grades, even if you don't use any of the other tools that Canvas has, just simply breaking it down like you have in your syllabus helps you and helps the students. So in your syllabus, you may have that you have assignments, then you may have participation, discussions, quizzes, midterm, and then a final. Now I'm going to turn off one of the features that's already turned on here, because I want to talk about that in a minute. So here I've got all of these broken down. This is how you're going to grade your class. So in this page, assignments at the top here means three different things. This first thing at the top is anything I want to show up in the grade book. Okay, so a quiz is technically going to come in here as an assignment. A midterm, a final exam is going to show up in here as an assignment. Discussion, anything that you're going to grade or have show up in the grade book. So if you want a column in the grade book that you're just going to have them hand in a piece of paper or show up at something and you're going to type in a grade or yes that they've done it, something like that, that's going to show up here in this assignments. The assignments right here is the group named assignments. You do not have to have one. You can rename it and maybe make it homework. Simply edit and homework. All right, so it's just something different. Whatever you call it, that's what this is about. So as we're talking here at this point about assignment groups, you name them the way they are in your syllabus. So in your syllabus, you've already got a group. You've already got some different components that are built in for you to use based on what you've already put together in your syllabus. This is just having Canvas match your syllabus, not the other way around. I don't want you to change your syllabus to match Canvas. You put the time into doing the syllabus, let's keep it that way. So as we've created all these groups by literally hitting plus group and typing in the name that we want, I've created the groups that would show up in the syllabus. As I do that, I have a couple of different other options. All right. So I can edit assignment dates. Once you've created all of your assignments, Canvas now has a way of going in and changing the dates for all of your assignments at one time. It's a nice feature. That way you don't have to click on each assignment, open it up, go down to the bottom, change the date, save it, and go to the next assignment. You can do it all in one page. We can turn on assignment groups wait, which I'll do in just a little bit. And then there's some parts sometimes with regard to commons. Under the group itself, you have a couple of different things that you can do. You can move the contents. So let's say that you import assignments from another class, especially if you've already got assignments in there. They may come up as assignments, and now you have two assignment groups. They may come up as imported assignments. Well, you don't want two assignment groups. You don't want imported assignments as an assignment group. So rather than you having to drag each assignment where it belongs, you can click on Move All Contents, and it will move them to whatever other group you want them to go to. It just does a single move. So that's a nice way if you're going between semesters, a couple of classes may be copied into the same area, and it goes ahead and just moves everything to help you be organized that way. You can move the group. So why would you want to move the group? Who cares about the order for the group? In a little bit, I'll show you what it looks like in the grade book. When you go into the grade book, having things in the order that you're expecting them to be from your syllabus is really nice. So this allows you to, instead of drag and dropping, especially because a lot of us have 20, 30, 40 assignments or participation items that are, some are published, some are not, in one group. So you might be dragging a lot. Rather than drag and drop, you can simply do a move and move it before or after or to the bottom or top or whatever it is that's appropriate for moving the whole group. So this is what the assignment groups look like. Now, why does this matter? If I take a look in grades, all right, here are the groups. Here's homework, participation, discussions, quizzes, midterms. Keep scrolling over, final, and then the total. So in the order that I have put them in, that's the order that it's going to show up in the grade book for me. If I look at it for the student, it's the same thing. So in the student, when I look at grades, notice the groups are showing up at the bottom there for the student in exactly the same order that I just put them in assignment. So this is where have Canvas match your syllabus. Constantly going back to that because that's the easiest thing to do. You've already put the effort into the syllabus. Canvas should match it. And then it's really nice for the student. You can keep on saying that old term of, if they've got a question, go back to the syllabus. Well, guess what? Now Canvas is matching that as well. So this is a really nice way to up that game. One of the other, by the way, I like to do this as I'm presenting. One of the other things that is really neat is in the grade book, if you go to total and hit the three dots, there's a move to front. What that does is that now moves, if I refresh the page here, that moves the total next to the student's name. And as you scroll across, it keeps the total right next to the student's name. So this is a really neat feature that Canvas has built into this particular gradebook, and just allows you to keep track of where that student is. It doesn't move all the totals, it just moves the grand total itself to that location. So as you're working in assignments, Specifically, we're talking about assignment groups. There's a couple things, there's something that we can turn on called the group's weight. So this is something that not everybody uses. Some people do, some people don't, but what it does is it allows you to figure out how much weight you're going to give to each item. What do I mean? Well, maybe you say in your syllabus that homework is 10% of the grade. Participation is 10% of the grade. If I scroll down, you see here's the total that I've calculated so far. So I want to make that match 100. You can go higher or lower than 100. That said, it does some really interesting things when you are higher and lower than 100. It basically, it does the math correctly, but basically it takes it as if it was 100 and breaks it all down from there. So discussions, maybe I want to be 10% of the grade. Quizzes, I want to be 20% of the grade. Midterms, 25% of the grade. And the final 25% of the grade. And now you see that I've got 100% of the grade that it's calculated. The best way to do extra credit, if you're doing this, is to decide where you're going to put extra credit on the, what you're going to give extra credit towards. So for instance, participation, I may create a participation extra credit assignment. Okay. When you do extra credit, it's 0 points. Whatever points you give above the number of points available is extra credit. So if you make something worth 5 points and you give the student 6 points, they get 1 point of extra credit. If, however, you give the student a 5-point assignment or a quiz that's 5 points and they get 4 points, that is no longer extra credit. That actually has deducted a point from them, and they've got a 80% going on that particular assignment. So just be aware that when you're doing extra credit, you always want to go off of 0 points. So a lot of people like to do extra credit quizzes. That's very difficult in Canvas typically. There's a way to do it. All right. And it's easiest if you're using weighted grades. If you're using weighted grades, what you do is you create another group and you call it extra credit. And you make it be 0% of the grade. And save it. Now, when you create a quiz or you put anything in it, that's not going to account towards the grade at all. So somebody gets a 4 out of 5 on a quiz, you then can put it under quizzes. You could have extra credit from quizzes. And you could give them 4 points on that assignment. That will give them 4 points towards their quizzes group. Does that make sense? It's a little bit weird. Okay. So just to quickly recap, there is no such thing as extra credit quizzes. So what you have to do is, the easiest way to handle it is to create an extra credit group that's worth 0% of the grade, have them take the quizzes from that group, and then you manually just put that information, that value in wherever you want the quiz to count toward, that extra credit to count toward. Okay. So what good does it do to have this participation, these 10%, the weighted grades and stuff like that? Well, now if I go back to grades, notice it says at the top, homework is 10% of the grade, participation is 10% of the grade, discussion, etc. So now it's telling me as the teacher how much of the grade has a particular value as a percentage there. This, from the student's perspective, they see those weights as well here on the right. So they can see that homework is going to take 10% of the grade. Now, why is this so nice? Why do I like it so much? It's not right for everybody. So don't take this as, hey, Tim says you got to do it. No, absolutely. That doesn't work for everybody, but it can work for several different things. So for instance, I know of one faculty member who has a presentation that they require from their class. They make their presentation itself be 1,000 points. They make every part that they want the student to hand in be 100 points. So the rough draft is 100 points. Well, a student looks at that and they say, hey, this presentation is really important. The rough draft is really important. Okay. In the end, that whole everything about the presentation is worth 10% of the grade. So while she may have 1,000 total points in her class other than that 1,000, the students realize that this is important, and so they really build into it, okay? And they hand the stuff in and participate the way she's looking for. Why is that important? Because that's really what you want them to do. You're wanting them to participate. You're wanting them to give you the rough draft, to give you the proposal, whatever it is for a presentation. This is a way of doing that without making your course worth 10,000 points. Okay, so that it just took it up another level by being able to do weighted grades. So it shows the student here on weighted what the weight is. It helps break it down and be understandable in the total. All right. And in the syllabus, it also shows that the assignment groups are weighted. So if that's what you've done in your syllabus, Canvas syllabus will help you match that. So it's a really neat feature if you are using weighted grades. If you're not using weighted grades, then you can ignore the last 20 minutes or so of what I just said. But it's good to know about. So going a little bit further in assignments, and this you can do whether or not you use weighted grades. When you edit the assignment group, there's a couple of different parts to this. So one is you can have the number of scores to ignore for each student, the lowest score or highest score. And then you can never drop a particular one. So maybe you never drop, and when it says plus add an assignment there, you can have 4 or 5 things that it won't drop. But the beautiful part of this is you can drop the lowest score automatically. So I know some people like to, and I love this idea, hey, in this semester, I'm going to give you 16 discussions, 16 assignments, 16 quizzes, or 14 quizzes, 2 midterms, and a final. So I'm going to drop 1 or 2 assignments. I'm going to drop 1 or 2 discussions. I'm going to drop a quiz, those types of things. Canvas will do that for you. You don't have to worry about Canvas not calculating the grade properly. In fact, I've only come up with like 2 different things that have that I've been able to make Canvas calculate grades properly. Other than that, Canvas really does a really nice job of being able to calculate grades. So dropping the lowest score, I've not seen, but there's the potential for dropping the highest score for some reason. All right. But like I said, sometimes it's a never drop. So if you create an assignment group, a single assignment group that's all assignments, and it includes your midterm and your final, you can tell it not to drop those two, but to drop the lowest of everything else. Now, understand that when it calculates lowest, it's calculating lowest percentage. So why is that important? If somebody got a 1 out of 1 versus somebody else got a 5 out of 10, it's going to drop the 5 out of 10. So that means that if you're doing the calculation at the end and the student has a different amount available, it's because it was dropping something that was different. It dropped the 10-point assignment, not the 1-point assignment. Because the 1 out of 1 is an A, a 5 out of 10 is an F. It's going to drop that lowest percentage. Okay. Now, a lot of times students use that as oh, that's a freebie. I don't have to do that assignment. So I get a 0 on it. And that's perfectly fine from Canvas's perspective. That's up to you as the instructor, how you handle it, but that's perfectly fine. And Canvas will actually identify for you and for the student which assignment it's dropping. Okay. So as you are grading, a little thing will come across and indicate, oh, for this student, this is what's going to be dropped. Which 1, 2, however many you've placed in here, it'll be automatic. So it does help. It allows the student to see what their grade was and then why it got dropped. So it's a really nice feature as well. All right. So I've gone on for about an hour. Talk to me. What have I not covered? What questions do you have? What would you like to see more of? Is there anything that I missed or should repeat? And yes, we are recording at the moment. I'll shut off recording if there's no questions now, and then you can ask questions then if you want. Completely up to you. So. All right, then I am going to stop the recording.